everyone, it's me, Crafty Witch, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, this is like the third time I've tried to make this video, but in today's video I want to talk about the croning process, in particular my own journey. So I am not technically a crone just yet. I am pushing 50. I've been going through perimenopause for years now. I started getting hot flashes in my 30s, and I am now 48 years old. And now with regards to my moon time, I would say probably in the last 4 years specifically, like sometimes once in a while before that, it would randomly skip, but it was like few and far between. It wasn't too big of a deal. My moon time used to come like clockwork, like every full moon, either a day or two before or during or after. Like it was always around the time of the full moon. I would always get my moon time. Anyway, I would say the last 4 years that has not been the case. And it started, like I'm going to talk about the physical aspects that I've experienced, and then I'll get into the more the emotional, spiritual aspects after. So physically, I would, for example, I would get my period in January, and then I wouldn't get my moon time again until maybe March. So I would skip February, right? And then it would happen like that. So then I would get it about 6 times a year, 7 times a year, somewhere like that. And it would skip like every other month. Okay, that was doable, but it was still fairly regular. Like I knew when it was going to come, and it would come, but it was just 1 month would between the two periods. It would skip, and then it progressed to next thing 2 months it would skip. Next thing, I would get 2 periods in within like 2 weeks of each other, and then it would skip to I wouldn't get my moon time for sometimes 3 months, sometimes 4 months, and then it would show up in the 5th month. And it's been like that now for the past couple years. It's been completely sporadic. There has been no regularity. It shows up when it wants to, it leaves when it wants to, it stays away for however. It's turned into an unwelcomed house guest that you never know when they're gonna drop by. And you just never know. You just never know. And yet each month I'll develop certain symptoms, like my breasts will get tender, I might feel kind of crampy. Nothing comes. Oh, if you hear scratching, that's my cat. She's attacking her little scratch post. But anyway, yeah, so I'll feel like as though I'm gonna get it, and then nothing comes. And so yeah, I will go 4 or 5 months and then not have anything, and then I'll get it, and then sometimes it sticks around regular for like 2-3 months, and then it disappears again. So that's physically what that's been like. And then there's the hot flashes, or as I like to call them, my power surges. So those have been not so much fun. They're particularly hard in the winter time, because you got the heat going in your home, and it's like you feel so hot inside and out. And I've taken cold showers. I've literally have stood out in a snowbank in the middle of a blizzard trying to cool off, and when I say stand out in the snowbank, I was barefoot. Oh, like barefoot, no socks, no shoes, just barefoot, standing in the snow in a blizzard, because I felt like I was just burning and just needed to cool off, and it felt blissful. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey between the hot flashes. I don't get night sweats really too often so far, knock on wood. So that's been a good thing. but I'll get hot and like, yeah. So I get hot. I get hot. And I'll get hot at night. And like my legs will get hot. I just feel hot. But I'm not like sweaty. So that's a good thing. Thank God for that. So that's some of the stuff I've been going through. What else? Some moodiness. But physically it's so random. And I never know what to expect or when to expect it. It feels like you're blindfolded and you're in a long distance race and you don't know if it's 200 meters or 500 meters, but every race that you're in typically has a finish line. You're in this race, but you don't know where the finish line is. And for some people, the finish line might be like really close to the starting line. And for other people, that finish line might be way far away from the starting line. And with the blindfold part of it, that's just the whole unpredictability thing. You just never know what's going to happen. And it's so different for each and every woman. So that I think is important. And that is something that I've learned through this. Oh, you want to come? You want to come? Oh boy, here we go. This is my girl Chansey. So anyway, that's the physical aspect of it. Now, with regards to the mental and spiritual aspect and emotional aspect of it, I mean, the emotional aspect of it is you realize, hey, you're not a spring chicken anymore. I consider myself to be more like a winter hen at this point in time. But, it's a natural part of life, and it's just that transition period, time of change. And so, yeah, you kind of come to that realization that, in your heart, you might feel that you're still 24 years old, but then you realize, your body is saying, no, you're not. You don't, you may not recover quite as quickly as you used to from certain things, from illnesses. You might find that, you kneel down to pick up something, your bones creak and crack and snap, and you sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies just trying to bend down and pick a piece of paper up off the floor, right? Like, your body's changing, things are changing, and you realize you're not as young as, you're physically not as young as you maybe feel mentally that you are. And maybe there's certain things you can't do anymore, maybe, whatever it is. So there's that aspect, just coming to terms with getting older, and not being a spring chicken anymore, right? So there's that emotional aspect of it, the mental aspect of it. There's certain stresses that come along with entering into the Croning phase. Do you need to wear a certain protection every single day, because you never know when because it's so sporadic, for one thing. You never know when you're going to get it. And if you haven't gotten your moon time for like 2-3 months, you think, oh, it's safe, I don't need to wear anything today. You know what I mean? And then maybe you go to work, and then Aunt Flo shows up unexpectedly. And it's like, dang it, right? So it's still kind of a mild form of stress, I guess, in that regard. And then for some women, it really messes up with your hormones, your mood swings. Some people really have a rough time when they're going through this process. So it can be a difficult process for any woman, and no two women are alike, and their journeys into cronehood are not alike. Every woman will have a different experience in her life. So And it's all different ages. Like, we get our periods different ages. My mom got her period when she was 14. I got mine when I was 11. So we all mature differently, and we all go through this process differently as well. Now, on to like the spiritual aspect of it, for me, what I've discovered is that it's a great time when you're in the perimenopausal part of it. You're not full menopause yet, but you're just starting to go through that process of where your body is beginning to purge the last of its eggs. That is the perfect time, and I think such a I lost my train of thought, but it's the perfect time to deal with any of your traumas that you might have experienced in your life that maybe you have not dealt with. So whether it's childhood trauma, adult trauma, whether it's old hurts, whether it's stuff that you balled up and put away on a shelf and you stuffed down so that you wouldn't have to face it or deal with it, it's best to deal with that stuff. Whether it's dealing with childhood trauma, whether it's dealing with adult trauma, maybe it's not even trauma, maybe it's, stuff that things you've done to other people, but really doing that inventory and working with your shadow side and your shadow self and doing all that shadow work is so invaluable at this point in time, because just like how your body is purging and getting rid of the last remaining eggs, now is the time for you to purge and deal with and move on from your last remaining issues, traumas, whatever it is, old thought patterns, old ways of thinking, old habits, whatever that does not serve you now. Now is the time to deal with that stuff. Bring that stuff up to light, work through it, heal from it, and let it go in a healthy way. Stuffing it down, pretending it doesn't exist when it's sitting on your bookshelf, staring at you in the face, and you just keep going through life like it's never going to bother you again. Sure enough, sooner or later, something will happen and crap will hit the fan, and it's because of unresolved issues or things from the past. So dealing with that stuff is really important when you're going through the Croning phase, when you're going through being perimenopausal. It's the perfect time, just like I said before, as your body's releasing those eggs and like the final remnants of your fertility and that kind of thing, to release all that emotional, mental, spiritual baggage, old hurts, traumas, whatever the case might be, old habits, whatever it is, to release that as you're releasing the last of your eggs, so that when you do fully transform into the crone, being, transitioning from perimenopause into menopause, that you're not taking all this excess baggage with you once you have come into that new identity or new role for yourself, right? You can ease into that transition, into that new role rather more smoothly, without having all this mental, emotional, spiritual baggage. Oh, she wants to go. So that it doesn't linger and doesn't continue to impact you or affect you. I got cat hair all over my mouth. So that's really important because, traditionally and historically, when you think of the crones, you think of the old wise women of the village or the tribe. They were the medicine keepers, they were the elders, they were the advisors, they were the ones that people went to for direction, for advice, for support, for guidance, for wisdom. And who wants to go to somebody that doesn't have their shit together or hasn't dealt with their crap, right? You wouldn't go to somebody who is mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, unhealthy or toxic for guidance, right? you would want to, I'm going to guess, I would want to go to somebody that has dealt through their darkness, has dealt through and worked through and healed from whatever it is that they've gone through in their life, whether it's domestic violence, addiction, um, abuse, all that kind of stuff. Is it easy? Absolutely not. And it might be a painful process, but any kind of rebirth is like, there's going to be pain and discomfort, and that's okay. Lets you know you're alive, for one thing. The other thing is, that's how we grow. And as we grow into that new role of going from being a mother into that of a crone, that onus is on us to help facilitate our own transition as smoothly as possible. And we no longer live in the times, unfortunately, where we have moon lodges or I don't know, red tents, or we have those things, metaphorically speaking, and we might have gatherings once a month, or that kind of stuff. But like, long time ago, when a woman was on her moon time, she would be able to go and stay at the moon lodge for like a week. She didn't have to do chores. They would feed her. The old ladies would teach her and share the mysteries with her. They would share the teachings, the magic, the spiritual lessons, all of that with her as she was in the moon lodge during the time of her moon time. We don't have that luxury anymore, and it really, it's unfortunate, but we can't just take a week off work every month, to go and be a part of that. Just the way our societies are built nowadays, we don't have that as an option to us for the most part, at least not in North American society. There's no way I could ever take a week off work every month to go to a moon lodge. And through those teachings, though, that would be where the crones come in during that moon lodge, to pass down those teachings, to give that guidance, to give that direction, to give that support. They've already lived through it. They went through it. They dealt with their shit. They moved on. Now they're helping the next generation to transition, or to go through their moon times and all that kind of stuff. So for the most part, I think we really have lost that. So now it falls on us as individuals to take it upon ourselves to address our shadow side. We got to do that shadow work and take a true inventory of our successes, our failures, our shortcomings. Where did we go wrong? Where have we wronged other people? What do we need to work on? Are we selfish? Are we greedy? Are we rude to people? Are we judgmental? Do we are we dismissive of other people? Are we so wrapped up and blinded by our own privilege, whether it's race, whether it's economic, whether it's societal, that we really don't comprehend, see, or understand the pain, whether it was unintentional or not, that we may have caused others. Where have we made or created trauma for other people in our lives? Is there certain things that we haven't dealt with, that we maybe blocked or put away, or stuffed down so that we wouldn't have to deal with it, just in order to survive, to keep moving forward? But it's still there. It's still ingrained in us. It's still in such a deep part of us that we've shut it away. What parts of ourselves have we disowned? What parts of ourselves are fragmented and shattered? There's talk about soul retrieval and things like that. Maybe I'll do a video about that another time. But we need, during this process of croning, or going through the croning process, we need to call back those pieces, those shattered pieces of ourselves. We need to bring that back to us and to heal that, so that when we do enter into this final stage of our lifetime, of our journey, that we can do so where we are whole, we're healed, we've done all that work, and now it's our time to be able to share our wisdom with the next generation, to share how we've healed ourselves and share that healing with others, right? So to me, becoming a crone, going through the croning process, to me, it's much more than just growing old, and it's much more than just being an old lady who doesn't get her moon time anymore, right? Anybody can get old, and any woman can get old. But to me, the responsibilities of actually being a crone are much more deeper than just getting older and not having your moon time anymore. To me, I really feel that there's a responsibility to the subsequent generations to provide whatever guidance and help and support that we can to those who are coming after us, so to speak. So yeah, that's kind of where my thoughts are. This is already much too long. I've tried making this video I don't know how many times, and it ends up being 30-40 minutes long, and I do ramble and that's just who I am. But yeah, just some thoughts on my own process. I am not officially a crone yet. I haven't made the full transition, but I'm in that race. I'm blindfolded and I'm running for the finish line. I just don't know where it is, and parts of me have become frustrated with that. Impatient is another thing. So I've learned a lot about myself, and just working through my own shadow side and working through things that I needed to work on that I thought maybe I had already dealt with in my 20s and 30s, and then things have come out now that I'm pushing 50, and it's like, holy crap, I thought I dealt with that years ago. And it's like, no you haven't. So working through that, and it has been a process, and it has been painful at times. It's been very painful to really look at yourself and see yourself, the good and the bad and the ugly can be difficult, and it's not to berate ourselves or to belittle ourselves, but to really recognize how our actions do affect others in this world, how our thoughts are so powerful, how it affects us as individuals, how there's old hurts and things that we might have buried that we thought we've dealt with, but really didn't. We just stuffed it down and pretended that it wasn't there and ignored it and carried on. And then we wonder why maybe later on in life we repeat some of the same patterns over and over again that maybe aren't so good for us. Well, that comes down to that unresolved trauma or issues that needed to resolve. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey, and just really coming into your own being, and really working through all that. It's been an amazing journey, and it's taught me a lot so far, and I'm nowhere near done yet. It's still a huge learning curve for me, and it's been kind of difficult because I don't have my mom to turn to anymore, and I don't have my grandmother, I don't have my aunties, and that has made it kind of lonely in that aspect for myself, because I can't just turn to my mom and say, hey mom, or I can't, like, I've never had that discussion with my grandmother ever. I've learned how to deliver babies through her. She was a midwife, and talked about the fertility aspect of womanhood, but never I never had that discussion with her, and I really, really wish I had. And I really wish I had documented that. So for you folks out there that maybe you still have your moms, your aunties, your grandmothers, now is the time to reach out to them. Whether you're male or female, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And why would I say male? And even though they don't get their menstrual cycle, you might have a daughter someday. You might have a granddaughter someday. You might have a niece someday. I think that information is important to hand down. Plain and simple. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. That's a portion of my journey that I've shared with you guys. And I know it's been a very long, rambling video, but it's real life. You know, it's been an amazing journey. It's been also frustrating. I've been impatient with it. It's been 4 years, people. It's a long time. And even before that, it started in my 30s, and I'm 48, and I'm pushing 50, you guys. And it's still not done. So I cannot wait till once it's done, because once I've gone through the full 12 months, 12 consecutive months of not getting my moon time, I am throwing myself a crone party, and y'all are invited, and I will video it and everything. It's going to be fabulous. I've already started planning for it. I'm going to celebrate by having a crone party, and I think that's something that I would love to see happen more often in our society. Let's celebrate getting older. So for so long, this is going to turn into a rant for another video, but for so long, society has pitted us against wanting to grow older, you know, growing older and getting gray hair. And I've got a lot of gray hair happening. But, you know, they want us to color our gray hair. They want us to remain forever young. They want us, you know, it was like growing old is like this horrible thing. You know, the old hag, calling women old hags, making derogatory comments, you know, hey grandma, you know, like stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? I embrace my I've got like silver hair happening. I don't know if you can see it in here, but I've got a hell of a lot of gray hair. I'm not coloring it. I'm embracing it, because you know what? Growing old is a privilege that has been denied to too many people. And I am thankful for whatever little wrinkles I have, my gray hair, going through this process, even though sometimes I get so tired of it. It's been awesome. And I wish society would celebrate growing old and really honoring the crone and our sages. You know what I mean? Like the old men, the old women in our communities who are these wisdom bearers. They are like walking libraries of wisdom and knowledge. And I really wish we can honor them more than what we have right now. Right now, the focus is always on youth and beauty, because I think people are afraid of dying. And so we want to focus so much on youth and beauty that we don't recognize that there is a beauty in growing old and embracing those wrinkles and those rolls and the gray hair and all that stuff, the crow's feet by your eyes. I mean, hey, if you're going to be a crone and you got crow's feet, I mean, how perfect is that? You know, why is it called crow's feet versus, you know, chickadee feet, right? It's like that symbol of the crow and wisdom and going between the worlds and the goddess and all that jazz. Anyway, I'm rambling. That's it for now. That's my journey. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love video responses from you guys, talking about your journeys if you so want to share. That would be wonderful. I am reaching out to the pagan YouTube community. I would love to hear about your croning journeys, or if you've already become a crone and you've gone through it, I would love to hear about that. So that's it for now. I wish you all the best. Much love. Ciao.